Hello YouTube, Coach Woohoojin back again with another video. I'd like to talk about another issue that I see frequently during my free VOD reviews on my stream. I frequently see players returning to default playstyles even when they're playing against suboptimal or non-standard team compositions. So I'm going to introduce you to a model that I think may help you identify how to play against the specific team composition that you're currently facing. Shameless plug. I'm live on my Twitch stream every morning at twitch.tv/woohoojin, and I do free VOD reviews for all viewers who show up with a VOD. If that sounds like something that interests you, we'd love to have you show up and bring a VOD. Okay, so when I'm first loading into a game, I'm going to make a mental note of how many things on this checklist the enemy team has. Do they have trips? Do they have smokes? Do they have soft recon? Soft recon here would be like a KO knife, which knows you're in a certain region, but not exactly where. Do they have hard recon, like a Sova dart? Do they have a drone? Do they have pop flashes? Do they have near sights? Do they have stunned? Do they have walls, like a Viper wall, a Sage wall, a Neon wall? And do they have agents that are effective at wielding an operator, so chamber or jet? Let's say we've gone through this list now. Well, what do we do then? How does that help us? Well, let's go back to some of the games that I've played in the past, and let's just look at the enemy team composition and apply this model. Let's check out this Bind game I played over a year ago when I was Platinum. Okay, so the enemy team composition here is Sage, Phoenix, Reyna, Breach, Omen. We're playing Bind. So Phoenix, Sage, Reyna, Omen, Breach. Okay, let's pull up our list again and take note. Do they have trips? No. Do they have smokes? Yes. Omen. Do they have any soft recon? No. Do they have any hard recon? No. Do they have a drone? No. Do they have a pop flash? Yes. They have two. They have Phoenix and they have Breach. Do they have a near sight? Yes, they have two. They have Omen and Reyna. Do they have a stun? Yes, they have Breach stun. Do they have walls? Yes, they have a Sage wall. Do they have an operator agent? No. Okay. So I know most people watching this are going to want some guidelines here that will always be true when, for example, the enemy team doesn't have hard recon or doesn't have a drone. Unfortunately, the true nature of real-time strategy games is that the answer is always it depends. So let me show you how I would approach this for this game in Bind. Keeping this information in mind, let's pretend we're on defense first, as indicated in this VOD. And I'm playing B. Now that I see this team comp, I'm going to try and envision how they would push B, and then work backwards from there to decide how I'm going to play against it. So, what do I normally see on Bind when teams are hitting B? Normally they have to do something to clear this hookah space safely. Usually you'll see a raised boombot, a Sova drone, maybe an Omen flash from over here, something like that. So I'm going to say, looking at their comp, I think it's likely their Phoenix would walk up and flash into hookah. Now let's keep looking. So I would expect their Omen player to go either long or hookah, I'm not sure, but he's going to smoke CT and elbow. That's very likely. Okay, let's see. Their Reyna player, I would expect the duelist to be split up. So let's assume she goes long, and we'll give her Breach, and let's say Omen goes hookah. This is purely hypothetical. You'll see why later. It doesn't particularly matter exactly how they push. And then let's say Sage is watching their flank because they have no trip, and I just realized that that's important. So their Sage may play slow, A short, and play for some info. Okay? So how can this initial mental model help us play the round? So we see this Phoenix probably is going to flash into hookah. This Reyna and Breach are going to take long. I expect maybe a Breach flash to come into Octagon. And I'm noticing it's really tricky for their team comp to enter site. They don't have a dash. They don't have a satchel. And they have to use a lot of their util to take this early space because they have no drone. I think we could consider hiding behind these boxes with a shotgun. And after we hear a flash, we swing out. I think we could consider playing on top of this tube with a Vandal or a Phantom. And after we hear their flash hookah, we swing and take that fight because no drone is going to reveal us here. So this is an example of predicting how the enemy team comp is going to play and coming up with a strategy to play against it. Let's go watch the round and see what actually happens. They pushed B, so I was wrong. It turns out Reyna flashed into hookah. I don't know if you see this. So Phoenix is probably their long player. But I was mostly right that they're flashing into hookah. And they get caught and pincered into hookah. My rays teleported through, so now we know they're all there. And we could see that if Platinum Me from the past had recognized this option of playing inside of hookah, we probably would have already won the round. Because they're getting caught inside of hookah. They've got no good response to all of this action that's going on. And it would have been really effective if we were closer with a shorty. Okay, let's do one more example to really drive the point home. Let's go further up when I'm diamond. How about an Ascent game? Okay, here we are on Ascent. Unfortunately, it looks like I forgot to start recording early on in this game. And the enemy team composition is Jet, Reyna, Killjoy, Omen, Yoru. Okay, let's go to Ascent and Yoru. So let's go back through our list again now. Do they have a trip? Yes. Killjoy. She has an alarm bot. Do they have smokes? Yep. Omen. Do they have any soft recon? I would say Killjoy turret. Maybe. They could use Killjoy turret to gain some information. Do they have any hard recon? Definitely not. Do they have a drone? No. Do they have a pop flash? Yes. They have Yoru. Do they have a near sight? Yep. They have Omen and Reyna. Do they have a stun? No. Do they have any walls? Nope. Do they have an operator agent? Yes. They have Jet. Okay. So for this example, let's put ourselves on offense this time and see how could we play against this composition. So right away, I'm noticing that their recon is lacking. So this is going to force them to have to peek angles early on to figure out where the enemy team is looking to hit. For example, a common pattern I see on Ascent is the recon agent will play lane like this or play A main, and they'll send a dart, a fade eye into A or B main to gain information early. Since they can't do this, I think it might be valuable to play a little more lurky and slow. So, a potential idea for an offensive play against their team composition may be to lurk 2 up B main and 3 up A main and just hold, expecting them to have to swing one of these two for information at some point into the round. Let's come up with another strategy. So we know that they have an operator agent. So if we're on a round where they could buy an op, maybe we pressure that operator. So we put a smoke down cat. We put a smoke bot mid. This is assuming, of course, we have smokes. I didn't check. We do. We have an Omen. And now this is going to make the enemy team worry that we might be mid. And they've got no way to check. So after throwing these smokes, I would propose all 5 of us be clumped up in one of these mains, ready to explode on contact after we get a pick. This seems really strong against the enemy comp because they can't gain information on how we're playing after these smokes go down. It forces them to peek into us to figure out what's going on. So I hope this guide was valuable. I know that many of you were hoping that I'd be able to explain more precisely what you can do when they have no stun, when they have no walls, when they have no drone. But unfortunately, that's just not how it works. So I'd like you to keep this in mind next time you're loading into a game. Just quickly check. Go through this list and see what do they have, and does that affect the way that I was planning on playing this game in the first place. And I hope it helps. Good luck in your games.